them shine, and you're the one that started that. That makes you a mentor now. So now you're mentoring. Something else you can do, I know a lot of us tend to shy away from this, but it's a very, very good opportunity to network and get your name out there. Schedule some one-on-ones with your director and your VP. Most people have maybe a one-on-one with their manager, probably bi-weekly or even once a month. But how often do you get an opportunity to sit down with your director or your VP, or again, someone in another organization? Put some time on their calendar. Share with them their thoughts and ideas and how your work aligns to their strategic plan of the company. Another thing that you can do, practice empathy. Again, people that you don't normally talk to, shoot them an email. Hey, how's it going? What are you doing to help kind of manage the stress through this pandemic? Ask about their family. That's networking, building those relationships that will last a lifetime. So I want to give you guys some examples of some ways that you can take an opportunity right where you are to present yourself in your work environment, showing your characteristics of leadership. What you want to do is position your skill sets as a revenue stream. We are going through some really tough times right now. Lots of things are changing every hour. So you want to have an opportunity to take advantage of that and be innovative. Be flexible every day. Times are changing, things are changing, change with them, be flexible. Encourage collaboration. Again, kind of going back to delegating and following up with your team members, following up with your management team. Learn how to manage up, practice managing up, because what's important to your management team should be important to you. Make that priority number one. All these things go back to navigating your career and being seen as a leader, not just a doer. You know, I will shamelessly share this one thing with you guys. When I started being interested in being a manager, I talked to my manager and said, what is it that I can do to get to the next level? My manager said, Alicia, you're perceived as a doer. You go above and beyond, and we love you for that. We're proud that you're on our team, but you're always doing. You've got to learn how to show leadership, how to delegate, show that you're a leader before you apply for that manager position. And I took that to heart. I demonstrated agility. I used my communication skills to create me some short-term and long-term visions for myself. I had to become very proactive and innovative. And I had to encourage collaboration among my team and other organizations that we work with. I turned myself into a leader. I was a doer, and now I'm a leader. I'm being seen as a leader, and that worked for me. When you get an opportunity, make sure you step into that zone. So now let's talk about personalizing your career. Remember, we had some objectives in the beginning. We talked about leading right where you are. I gave you guys some nuggets on how to do that. Let's talk about your career goals. How can you navigate your career during times of COVID? I want to give you 4 points. We're going to dive into each of these 4 points real quickly, and we're going to make this very interactive because I want to hear from you guys as well. The first thing is focusing on your professional development. This is one of the ways that you can engage and become that leader that you want to be. Now think about ways that you can stand out. When you're focusing on your professional development, you need to know your strengths. You need to know where your strengths are so you know where to pull from. You can't lean on what you don't know, right? So you got to know, where are my strengths? When you know where your strengths are, you know where to dig in deep to get that shine. Let's look at some words that you can kind of use to describe yourself. I'm modest. I have integrity. I'm flexible. I'm very collaborative. I'm proactive. I'm confident. I know each of you on this call have all of those attributes. The question then becomes, how are you using them? Strength finders. That's how you use it. Strength finders is a way to focus on your professional development. This is one of the best tools that I have found to help describe and define who you are. You know how you've been doing this for 15 years, 20 years, 30 years. You know who you are, but how do you massage it and put it into words? Strength finders help you do that. I use this tool 99% of the time with my clients. You got to start with, who am I? What am I good at? What defines me? Strength Finders will definitely help you do that. How many of you guys are aware of the Strength Finders or has taken the Strength Finders assessment? Use your chat box and type in, you've used it, you love it, you're not aware of it, this is new to you. Let's take a minute and take a poll here. And Robin will read off some of you guys' answers.
Okay, Alicia, what we're seeing is some of them are saying it's new to me. I've used it before. I'm aware of the tool and I've used it. Probably right now, 70-30 that have used it and those that have not used it. One person said they used it and need to take it again. Used it with my job, love it. Used it with my team. So we're getting a lot of used it. We got a few I'm not aware. So the majority of the people on the call, I would probably say 70-30 have used it, familiar with it, and the 30% that is not aware.
Okay, thanks for that. Thank you, Robin, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for chiming in. So as most of you are aware, there are 4 domains in the Leadership Strength Finders. You get executing, influencing, relationship building, strategic thinking. Look at these words. These are some of the very words that we just talked about of how you can describe yourself. So when you take the assessment, you'll get results in these 4 areas. And I had a client that one of her strengths came out to be communications. I worked with her in some brand consulting, and she was able to hone in on that strength of communication by offering to do more facilitating, speaking out more, leading meetings, doing meeting recaps. This really helped her take that strength and differentiate herself from her peers. And that drove her all the way to her next promotion. She took that skill, realized and accepted that, you know what, I'm really good at this. Practice makes perfect, right? So she continued to practice her communication skills, and she started getting speaking engagements. She was called upon to lead meetings, and that allowed her to differentiate her from her team, and she got promoted from that. Another thing you'll see with Strength Finders is strategic thinking. Under the strategic thinking category, there's one of the attributes as learner. Now, instinctively, you regularly apply yourself to scholarly pursuits if this learner is one of your attributes. If you feel optimistic about life whenever you're dedicating yourself to your studies, when you're learning about something new, when you're reading something and you get excited about something that you hadn't heard of before, you're a learner. You love to learn. Learning is fun for you. So what would you do with that? Here's my advice. I would say, right now I've got my master's degree. Why don't I go back and get my doctorate? I love learning. Why not advance myself with it? You could take that thought from that attribute and say, you know what? Let me find a course that I can take online, something I can do to advance myself to help with my career. If you love learning, the more you learn, the more you can teach, coach, the more you can lead. Leaders are readers. So if you're reading and you're learning, that's enhancing your leadership skills. I'll tell you guys this thing. You may have more to gain by developing your gifts and leveraging your natural skill sets, things that you are naturally good at, than trying to repair your weaknesses. I read that in the Harvard Business Review, and that really, really touched me, because a lot of times I'm always looking for, what can I do better? What can I do different? Let me fix this. Let me fix that. But I started focusing on, who am I? What's my gift? What am I really good at? And I can shine in that light without even thinking twice about it, without putting sweat to it, because it's what I'm naturally good at. So Strength Finders will help you find that. So let's talk about another way to personalize your career. So I know many of you have heard over and over again this one question, and it wasn't until I started doing mock interviews with my clients that I found this question to be harder than I really thought it was for people. So I wanted to use it as an example for us when you're personalizing your career. You oftentimes hear people say, Tell me something about yourself. And we know who we are, but we stumble over that a little bit. This question can be asked when you're networking, and oftentimes it's even asked when you're interviewing. So here's how you answer that question. There are 4 things you need to put into a couple of sentences to do that. How long have you been in your career? What sets you apart? Remember, you want to differentiate yourself. What makes you an asset to the company? You always want to be seen as a revenue generator. You may not be in sales. You could be in audit. You could be in marketing. You could be in customer service agent. But you want the company to know that they need you. So make yourself an asset. And what are your social responsibilities? Now, during this time of COVID, I can't say that I hadn't seen not one company that has not talked about what they're doing to help during this time. All companies have a social responsibility. They want to be a light in their community. They want to help out. So if you're working for a company that believes in social responsibility, that's putting their dollars into the community, and you're not doing so, that's a gap for you. So I want to give you guys a way to answer this question. If someone says, tell me a little bit about yourself, I'll use me for an example. So I'll say, hi, my name is Alicia. I have close to 20 years of combined leadership experience in marketing, learning development, and strategic planning. You know, I recently ended my 11-year career from FedEx, where I worked in the company to advance the strategic goals of global brand marketing and freight marketing. And now I've launched my own company, A Career Girl Brand Management. And I'm also an adjunct professor for Christian Brothers University in Southwest Community College. And as a part of my social responsibilities, I'm the chairman of the board for Developing Noble Men Academy, and I'm the VP of membership for National Black MBA chapter. Now, I just gave you a quick example of how to answer the question, tell me something about yourself. So now let's move to our next point. Have you guys thought about updating your career documents? How often do you do that? It's homework, right? It's not something that you want to get off work from the end of a long day and think about doing. But if you remember that picture I showed you earlier, if you are focused on the road ahead and you are committed and you're challenging yourself to enhance your brand and involve yourself more in your career, you've got to update your career documents. First one, your resume. Yeah, that's one of those things that people kind of cringe at. Don't want to do a resume. I had a client that hadn't updated his resume in 10 years. It was difficult for us to go through and update his resume because he had not documented his success along the way. He had to dig and go through and find emails from all over the place, looking at awards and certificates that he had received because he hadn't documented that. So I want to give you 4 tips that can help you enhance your resume. You don't have to tell me if you hadn't done it yet. It's okay. I'm going to help you out right now. You want to make sure your resume tells a story. Your resume should reflect the job you want and not the job you have. Let me explain that. If you're looking to advance and move up, you can't talk about all the things that you're currently doing without quantifying those things, without linking those things to the job that you're applying for. If you're applying for a job in management to be, let's say, a customer service manager, you want to talk about in your resume all those qualifications that's in the job description that you have in that skill set. Now, remember too, your resume should reflect your leadership, your flexibility, your collaboration, and your consistency. Now, millennials may think different, but personally, as a brand management consultant, I don't feel that it's good that every year you're changing jobs. It doesn't show consistency. You're not giving yourself enough time to get engrossed into the job. You're not able to show your leadership skills because you hadn't been there long enough. So flexibility and consistency goes a long way on your resume. So you've got to be able to tell that story. Also, your resume should sell you when you're not in the room. You know, Starbucks is Starbucks. They have created a brand. They've created a service. They've created an environment. And when they are not around with a commercial or a Starbucks on the corner that you can see outside of your window, you still talk about Starbucks. Starbucks has been closed and we've still been wanting to go. Look at yourself as a brand that sells when you are not there to give that sales pitch. Think about how many times you sent your resume off, how many times you put your resume on LinkedIn or apply for a job. You're not there to explain everything on your resume, right? So your resume has got to speak for you. And make sure you document your successes along the way of your career, because you're going to need that when it comes time to interviewing. Now, when it comes to interviewing, you never want to apply for a job that you are not ready to interview for. Applying for a job and interviewing for a job takes time. It takes practice. We're going to look at that. So when you're practicing for an interview, this is some documentation that needs to be at your fingertips. You need to create some scenarios that you can go back and look over, some experiences that you've had throughout your career that you can talk about when you're in the room in an interview. So that's why it's important to document your successes. It makes it easier for you to prepare for an interview process. Now, personally, I like the STAR method. The STAR method is an easy way to draw in the audience, to make them feel as if they were there, to give them just enough detail that they understand what happened and what the results were. So we'll practice that. So you've got a situation, you've got task, you've got the actions that you took, it explains what you did, and share the outcome. Now, I've added a little bit more to that. I also want you guys to refer your answers back to the job that you're applying for. Say how you would use that experience in the role that you're applying for. So we're going to practice that. So I'll give you an interview question. So you guys got the question. Describe the most challenging thing you faced at work. So if this was your interview question, we're going to practice. I'm going to use myself as an example, and I'm going to give you guys the STAR method. Because what I want you to take away from this is how to use the STAR method to answer questions. So when you start practicing your interview questions, you'll know how to set up your scenarios. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to throw myself out there and I'm going to answer this question for you guys. A challenging time I had to face at work was when I had to coach a peer. So at FedEx Services operating company, there were 16,000 employees. And they selected 16 out of that 16,000 to join a leader to manager program. And I happened to be one of the 16. So while I was in my third rotation, so there are 4 rotations, I was in my third rotation at this time, I was placed on an assignment with a group that had just been reorged. Now, one particular person had only been in marketing for 1 year, so they were brand new. With this reorg, he was moved to a team that he had very little knowledge about. It was about budgeting and contracts. I noticed that the employee was struggling. He lacked the confidence and spending a lot of time in the manager's office. So I'm going to pause there. That's the situation. I gave you the situation. Now here are the tactics. As an upcoming leader, I felt that it was my job to make the manager's job easier. So I wanted to manage up. So I asked the manager if I could coach the employee. The manager was very excited about my initiative and she said, sure. She shared with me some of the conversations that she had had with him and didn't see any changes since their conversations. And I knew the employee personally. So I felt that this was going to be a difficult challenge. However, being that I had just had a crucial conversations class, I felt confident that I could make this work. So here are the actions I take. I took him to lunch and I asked him if he would be okay with me giving him some professional advice and if he felt comfortable being coached by me. I was hoping that he would see my interest in helping him. And he did. He said yes. And so our 1-hour lunch turned into a second meeting, which was a 2-hour dinner. As a result of our meeting, the employee and I continue to have great conversations, and he now has the confidence to think outside the box to get his job done. The things that I learned in my leader to manager training has prepared me for such a role as this manager position with Cummings Company. I would use the learnings that I had to add to this already successful team. And I know, of course, there'll be team members that I can be coached from as well as I can coach. So I'm looking forward to this opportunity with Cummings Company. So there you go. I just kind of went through an interview question and broke down the STAR method. And of course, if you guys have questions, we can talk about this a little more. I want to show you something that I created. This is called an infographic. It has my personal brand as well as my leadership strengths. And above that, it has an empowerment statement. Now, I use this from my strength finders. Let's go back to the strength finders assessment. A lot of you guys have already taken it. This is a great way to take all the attributes that you learned about yourself from the strength finders assessment and creating a one-slide document that tells who you are. Now, we talked about the resume. Your resume, it explains who you are from your work experience. It gives a picture of your work history, but an infographic gives a picture of who you are personally. So you may say, Alicia, so why is that so important? That's important because you want to make sure that you give off the perception that you can fit into the culture of the company. You may not get asked questions in your interview that would allow you to demonstrate and share with them your thinking style or your leadership style. You want to be able to let them know as much as you can about you. So a lot of my clients take the Strength Finders assessment. I create an infographic for them and they use it as a leave behind. Now I want you guys to take a look because everything here in the personal brand side on the left and on the leadership side on the right, you're going to get that from Strength Finders. That'll help you to fill in those blanks. I want to take you to the top and read to you my empowerment statement because this is going to help explain who you are to them. And this is a quick 2-sentence thing. You don't want it to be too long. It says, Alicia empowers others to reach beyond their comfort zone to succeed through coaching and personal brand training. She leads strategic planning, value creation, and executing by keeping it simple and by providing proactive real-time communications. That is who I want to be known as. That's the perception I want to give people. So I want you guys to take a look at that, and this is something you can create with your Strength Finders assessment. I did hear a couple, Robin said, a couple people said they took it and need to take the Strength Finders again. When you take it again, find a way to bring those attributes into real life and execute on the strength that. So let's go into strengthening your personal brand. So we've talked about how to personalize your career, how to update your documents. Now let's go into strengthening your personal brand. Now, some of you may be familiar with emotional intelligence, some of you may not. I want to ask you guys a question, and you can fill it in the chat box, and Robin will read off some of these. When was the last time you felt completely fulfilled by the impacts that you were making in life? When was the last time you did something that really made you feel like, wow, I was made for that? Let's talk about that. Take a minute and put some answers in the chat box and we'll have Robin read those off.
Leading outreach efforts. Someone wrote working in corporate social responsibility at FedEx. Volunteering.
Good, good.
We need to see if we get any more responses. Education lead for a new members class.
Okay.
being authentic, leading a men's ministry and also a large project at FedEx, working with at-risk students, working with youth, mentoring. Another, mentoring youth. Transitioning to an enterprise Scrum Master position within SIAC.
Awesome.
Leading a women's ministry and outreach. Providing tips for hiring and interviewing at my company to potential candidates, mentoring and leading a nonprofit organization, a nonprofit board. See a lot of leading here, Alicia, a lot of leading, a lot of volunteering, a lot of mentoring.
That's very good.
Wrote books to help children learn about finances and wealth.
Oh, that's a good one.
Creating a marketing and communications team at my church.
Wow, we've got some powerful people on the call.
Indeed.
All of those are great attributes to strengthening your personal brand. So emotional intelligence is the capacity to be aware of, to control, and to express your emotions, and critically, to handle interpersonal relationships with empathy. And everyone on this webinar right now, we're talking about things about leading where they were leading. That's using your emotional intelligence. Did you guys know that for leaders, 85% of their results is related to emotional intelligence? Only 15% of their results comes from their IQ. See, that says to me that you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You got to know how to read the room. And you can only read the room when you're in tune to your emotional intelligence. I believe emotional intelligence is really the key to both personal and professional success. Your purpose is linked directly to the core emotional challenges that you give yourself. And once you see it and gain that insight, you're a powerhouse. It empowers you to be the most impactful person that you can be. So use your personal brand to showcase what differentiates you from others. Focus on positioning yourself as a leader. Remember, we talked earlier about being a revenue generator for the company. These are the things the world needs right now. During these COVID times, things are so cloudy. We really don't know what's next and how to handle it. There's no cure. But using your emotional intelligence and your leadership skills, that puts you in high demand. So let's look at how to observe and how to do using your emotional intelligence. So you've got self-awareness, self-management, and with self-awareness, that's knowing your internal states, right? That's knowing your preferences, your resources. That's that intuition that's deep down inside you that says, oh, don't say that. No, don't write that email. No, let's back up. Let's reevaluate. That's your self-awareness. That's being aware of how you are coming across and how you're going to be perceived within your actions. Remember, when you're a leader, you are always on. There is no off. There is no, I'm going to sit this one out. There is no, yeah, I'm going to go over here. When you're a leader, your self-awareness tells you, I can't do that. I can't go there. I can't say that. I can't post that. You're always on, and your self-awareness will help you with that. That's in your personal competencies. Self-management. That's managing that, managing your impulses. Then you've got your social competencies, right? Those are the things that help you kind of determine how you handle relationships. Now we're getting into the networking piece, right? That's what you do. Self-manage, relationship manage. Social awareness is when you're aware of other people's feelings and their concerns. Now, I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee with my grandparents. And they always said, treat people like you want to be treated, right? We've heard that several dozens of times. We kind of grew up with that, right? Treat people like you want to be treated. But you know what? With social awareness, what I've come to learn is you've got to treat people how they want to be treated. That's social awareness. Being aware of other people's feelings, their needs, and their concerns. That's treating people like they want to be treated. Your social skills and your relationship management, that's the ability to create desirable responses in other people, helping people get on board and be on your team. Without social competencies, you're not a leader. I can say I'm a leader, but if no one follows me, and I created this Zoom call and accepted this invite for the National Black MBA and no one dialed in, I may want to take a second look at my leadership skills, right? Let's look at engaging your network. Now, this is work. Guys, again, I'll say, managing your brand is not like tying your shoes. It's not that simple. Managing your brand takes work. It takes intention. It takes consistency. Your brand is the most valuable thing you will ever own. You've got to manage it or it will manage you. It's just a part of leadership. So I want to show you guys some ways that you can network and use your leadership. Now, for those of you that are local, there is a downtown Memphis commission. Their website has tons of information about resources. Their whole ammo is to make Memphis a better place. They believe that our city and our county government, they believe that in order for us to be a strong, vibrant city, we've got to help everyone. We've got to upskill everybody throughout our county and help everyone prosper and grow. So those of you that may be on the call that are not from Memphis, look into your city's commission and see what their goals and objectives are that's going to be helping to prosper and grow the city's citizens so that you can become a part of that and take advantage of those opportunities. Another thing, LinkedIn. So honestly, for me, when it comes to career growth and creating an impressive personal brand like we've talked about, LinkedIn is where you're going to focus most of your efforts. So remember, LinkedIn is not a resume. And your audience don't just include potential employers. Think about it. You've got a broader audience of friends, of business associates, of team members. So when you're posting on LinkedIn, make sure you keep in mind your self-awareness. Write in a way that offers support and advice, especially during times of COVID-19. Engage your network by posting things that are relevant to the group. That's going to invite people to continue to read and comment and dialogue with you on LinkedIn. Because really, in today's current climate, this is how you're going to network. And that's how you're going to form lasting relationships. So take a look at LinkedIn. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, I invite you to create one. Put a professional headshot of yourself on there. Make sure you add all the pertinent information that relates to your career and your achievements and your background so that people will follow you and want to look at your post, read your post, comment, and you can develop relationships all over the world, not just in your city. Blue Step, that's one that I have been following for quite some time. Blue Steps allows you to be on the radar of recruiters, and they can connect you with people in recruitment that specialize in the target industry you want to be in. Now, let me say something about the industry, because this is a critical one here. You should not be in an industry that you don't know about. It is your job to yourself to understand the industry that you're in. If you're a healthcare profession, you need to know about the healthcare industry. If you're in transportation, I heard some people on the call that said they work at FedEx or they've been a part of something at FedEx. You need to know about the transportation industry. You need to know what XPO Logistics is doing. You need to know who your competition is. You need to know the strategic plan. What can the company do to advance? Those are things that will help you have those conversations. Remember, going back to setting up the one-on-ones with someone in management, either you're a director or you're a VP, you've got to have something to talk about. And if you don't know the industry and where the company's headed, your one-on-one's not going to go so well. And when you get time on the calendar of upper management, you want to make that time valuable. You want to show them that you know their time is valuable and that you appreciate them meeting with you. So know the industry. Know the industry that you're in and how you can help advance the company in that industry. So we've got some people on the call that are either in their current role and want to advance, or you just got in your role and you're really learning how to massage your way through the organization, how to stand out as a leader. We've talked about those things. But there are some people on the call that are looking for opportunities. And no matter where you are, there are ways that you can reach out and reach your career goals. Careers@fedex.com. They're always hiring. They're a global company. They're going to give you opportunities for advancement, opportunities to travel, opportunities to work outside of your city if you're interested in moving. XPO Logistics, they have job opportunities. I'll take a moment and tell you guys about an experience that I had. And I just went the extra mile for one of my clients. I was helping her with her resume, and she's in IT, but she wants to transition into another field. I've seen that quite a bit. I've had a lot of people talk about, I've been in healthcare for 20 years, I want to do marketing, or I've been in IT and I want to come out. I was able to find a job at XPO Logistics that had relative skill sets that matched hers. And the opportunity was not in IT. It was a project management job. It was a leadership job, managing projects. But because she had so much experience in IT, we made sure that we had her resume to show and depict on all of the things that she had done in IT that revolved around collaboration and leadership. Showed all her competencies that align with the project management job at XPO Logistics. So there's opportunities and ways for you to transition. You just got to kind of know how to point those things out and how to do that. For those of you that are local, there are jobs right here in the city, memphistn.gov. There are careers everywhere, all over the city right now. Take a look at that website if you're local. And of course, we all know about Indeed. Indeed allows you to create a profile, and it allows you to upload your resume, select the industry you want to be in, the type of job that you're looking for, and they'll email you. They'll send you jobs. And that's a great way for you to stay focused on what you're doing and have that accountability partner kind of push you with reminders of jobs that are what you're looking for, that match your interests. So LinkedIn can be a great help with that as well. Now, when you're looking for jobs, I want to take a moment and just share with you guys this key thing that I've learned and that I share with my clients. You need to understand the requirements of the job and where your gaps are. You may wake up tomorrow. You may have woke up this morning and said, you know what? I want to do something different. I'm ready. You need to know that that's not going to happen overnight. It may take 30 days. It may take 6 months. It may take a year. Personally, when I was preparing for my promotion at FedEx, when I was there, it took me a year. I just thought I was going to apply for a job, get an interview, and I was going to get it. No, I had to look at the job I wanted. I had to look at those gaps that I did not have, find a way to fill those gaps, whether it's with a master's degree, a certification, showing some leadership, working on a project that involved some things that I did not know that was outside of my organization, volunteering. You've got to look at a job description, circle those things that you have, and those key areas that you don't have, start working on those. And then once you complete those tasks and say, okay, I'm ready for this, then you can start preparing to apply for that job. But you got to know where your gaps are and how you're going to fill those. And you got to know about that industry and the expectations of that role that you want. And sometimes that takes longer than we may want to give time for. But if you're really serious about advancing your career, use this time during COVID-19 to take a look at where your strengths are, where your gaps are, how you can fill it. So what's next? Again, I'll give you guys some homework, some action items. Create an individual development plan. You know how to do that, right? We've already talked about leading where you are. We've talked about enhancing your personal brand, fixing up your resume, preparing yourself for interviews before you get the interview, practice answering interview questions. So now let's create a development plan, because now you're ready to hit the ground running. Create a vision. Write down the vision that you have for yourself. What are some of those near-term goals that you need? What are some long-term goals that you want to reach? What are some career motivators right where you are? In your current role today, what are some things that you can do to motivate yourself and stand out as a leader? What are your strengths? What are some areas of opportunities? These are 5 key things that you can take some time, sit down and write out to help you figure out and navigate your career during this COVID time. After all, where are you going? We got nowhere to go. We got nothing to do but work on us. So let's just do that. Here's another thing you guys can do. Here's some more homework for you. I feel like a real teacher. I'm giving you guys all this homework. There are some free classes that you can take to advance. Southwest Community College, right here in Memphis, Tennessee, local. They are offering supervision and management classes online, free of cost. The basic fundamentals of how to manage a team. Now, I will share with you guys from experience, you can't just transition from being an individual contributor of a company to being a manager or being a director. There are some transition steps you have to take. And I know we've got some VPs and senior VPs on the call. I've seen their names like Ken Thornton. He'll tell you, you've got to prepare yourself to move above and to advance. So you want to know, what does it look like? What does this leadership job require of me? So taking some classes like this will really help prepare your mind to get there. You've got to make a transition. Harvard University, computer science, it's here, it's not going anywhere, it's very well needed, it's in great demand. Harvard University has a free introduction to computer science. Online class, you can take it at your own pace. This is just one of the key things that I found that will be a great help for someone that either wants to dig deeper into computer science, or you may already be in computer science and can take this class and learn a little bit more to enhance your career where you are. And of course, I myself, I am offering brand consulting to every one of you on this meeting. You will be able to have a 30-minute brand consulting session with me. Again, that is at no cost. So if you have some questions, you want to dig deeper into some things, you want to help figure out your roadmap, feel free to give me a call, spend some time with me, send me an email, go to my website, acareergirl.com, schedule some time with me, and we can create your consulting session. We'll get started, and I will help you get on your way at no cost. Before I transition back over to Robin, I think we have some time for Q&A. I want to say this one thing to you guys. You know, there is no magic way to navigate the impacts of COVID-19, right? It is what it is. We really don't know what we're dealing with. The impact of this global pandemic are largely unknown. We're still, I mean, even though they've opened up some of the cities, have opened up a lot of things, we really don't know what's going to happen next. I've heard a lot of people say, you know, I'm going to let them out there and do what they do, and I'm going to stay home. And once I see the coast is clear, then I'm coming out. It's almost like we don't know, right? This is a global pandemic in a time that we don't have the answers. But yet, ACG wants you to remember that all you need to survive during this pandemic is already inside of you. It's already inside of you. So simply just do and be your best. And we'll get through this together, guys. We will get through this together. Thank you, and thank you. All of my information is here on the screen. My email address, feel free to email me at alicia@acareergirl.com. Follow me on my social media. I make posts every day. You guys can comment on it. Follow me. If you need anything, please reach out to me. My phone number is listed here as well. Check out my website, acareergirl.com. That's where you would go to book some time with me, and you will put in the code MBAA to get your complimentary brand consulting. If you guys want to get a copy of my presentation, again, email me at alicia@acareergirl.com, and I'll send it right over to you. We're going to do some Q&A now, and so if you don't get a chance to get your question asked and get an answer, shoot me an email and we can talk offline.
Okay, Alicia, great job. We again want to thank you for this opportunity. We appreciate your time and these nuggets of wisdom that you've given us today. We do have a question, and I want to make sure that I address this. The question is, let's see, make sure I can see this. Okay. Okay, so the question is, do you suggest using outside experiences to fill in your experience gaps, i.e. volunteer or sorority/fraternity experiences?
Is this probably when you are in an interview?
I'm assuming it is
I would
outside
say,
experience, either on the interview or resume.
I would definitely say yes, because you want to use whatever's relevant. You know, whatever tells the story that hones in on your skill set and experience to make you the best person for the job, that differentiates you from any competition, I would definitely say use it, because you're wanting to always sell you. You're selling you, your greatness, what makes you unique. So use that. Definitely use that.
Okay. We just have some other comments. Great job, great session. Someone did comment about the Harvard classes. They've taken it. They are they're wonderful. They highly advise doing the Harvard free classes. Thanks there again. Another thanks for sharing valuable information. Great session. Let's see. Very informative and engaging. Someone asked again about the presentation. You already mentioned that they can email you directly. And can you give that information again, your email?
Sure. It's Alicia, ALICIA, at acareergirl.com.
And that's all together lowercase.
Yes.
Okay. Any advice on managing up in a current role?
Yes. Time with leadership. You know, I found this to be true at FedEx, but I have so many friends that mentor and coach me within other companies, and they have said the same thing. They get paid to have their next person that's going to be interceding for them. So it's their job to find that next person is going to replace them. So put yourself out there, get in there and get a time available with them, and make sure that you talk to them about the strategic goals of the company, of the organization, understand where they're trying to go, and show them how you fit in. Show them how what you're working on and your advancement and your experience can help lead the company further. And by doing that, they will begin to see you as a leader and know that that's who I want to replace me. So you've got to spend time with them. That's how you manage up. What's important to your manager is important to you. Always know that. Right, wrong, or indifferent, whatever they care about, you care about.
Here's another question that came up.
Okay, I couldn't be there for a
I
second.
understand that you were at FedEx for 11 years and then you started your business, or you transitioned. How did that transition take place? How did you prepare for transitioning to start your own company or your own business?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. I will try to answer it in the time that we have. It's one of those things where one day I just woke up and said, oh my God, I'm 40. So that was 40 years ago. I don't mind sharing my age. That was 4 years ago. And I said, you know what? I want to retire in the next 10 years. What does retirement look like for me, and how do I get there? I created a vision. I created some goals and objectives for myself. And I knew I wanted to teach. That was one of those things when I was volunteering. I led a group at FedEx called the Multi-Ethnic Leadership Community. It was a volunteer position, but I was able to kind of coach and mentor other team members. And I love doing it. And I was like, you know what? How can I do that when I retire? So I went over to Christian Brothers University and I volunteered to help the resume writing and interview prep. And I would go over there every semester. They would host this big career day and I'll be right there helping the students. And that fulfilled me. I felt meaningful doing that. And I was like, you know what? When I retire, this is what I want to do. So I kept doing that voluntarily. CBU called me up and said, hey, we got a position in brand management. We would like you to teach this course. It's like, excuse me? Yeah, when I retire, yeah, I can do that when I retire. Like, give me about 10 years. They were like, no, we need someone in a couple months. I was like, okay. So I started doing that. And then I started looking at all the things that made me happy, that was fulfilling for me. So I just made a roadmap and said, okay, I can speed up my timeline of retirement, and I can teach, I can motivate, I can join some boards. So I started doing those things. 2 years later, I felt confident, had enough leverage that I was able to retire early from corporate America. And because I was doing so much work with the community and helping people and teaching at CBU, I decided to make that my new career and start my own business for brand consulting. Again, the key here is it took 2 years. I took advantage of an opportunity and I turned it into an early retirement plan.
Okay, we have one last question. We're going to get this in pretty quickly. The question is, what is your advice on transitioning from military behaviors and mannerisms to be productive in corporate America? This is the last question.
I would say that the skill set of military behaviors is discipline. That's just straight discipline, right? That's leadership and discipline. Use that, match that, marry that with emotional intelligence, know when to use it, what audience to use it with, and use that as a strength and as an expertise to help others become more disciplined and advance in their own careers, and see where that takes you. Because military life is hard. And if you can manage that, you can manage a lot of other things in life and help others to get that, because you've seen, been and done and been trained in areas that normal society has not been. So I would leverage that and use that to my advantage.
Very good. As we conclude our webinar today, thank you all so much for your time. We truly appreciate it. Daryl, do you have any comments you would like to make as we end, and also talk about our program webinar for next week? Okay, Daryl, you're unmuted. Yes.
Okay. All right. No, I wanted to thank everybody for attending. I know we're at the hour, so I don't want to be long, but we do have a webinar next week with Nicole Thomas. So please look for our social media platform so you can see that. We really do want to respect everybody's time. So I would just leave it at that. Thank everybody for joining us and taking time out of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I have included Alicia's information in the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. You guys have a great rest of the day. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
You don't have the technology for that.